Picture the world before 1880. When the sun went down, society operated in near total silence, lit only by the flickering glow of gaslight. Then, that quiet, dark reality was shattered, first by the raw crackle of a human voice recorded on a cylinder, and soon after by the blinding snap of the incandescent bulb. The popular narrative tends to isolate these breakthroughs, portraying them as sudden flashes of inspiration that strike a solitary figure in a quiet room. But a brilliant idea is essentially worthless on its own. It requires a physical power grid, a commercial system to distribute it, and an audience willing to pay. Thomas Edison entered this space as the architect of a new kind of machine, the modern system of industrial innovation. His legacy relies on two distinct pillars. On one side, he drove relentless collaborative engineering. On the other, he engaged in ruthless, unapologetic self-promotion. Long before Silicon Valley existed, Edison wrote the media-driven playbook that today's tech executives still use to force the future into existence. His most enduring invention was his own myth. He used the mechanics of spectacle to engineer an image of the infallible wizard, maintaining tight control over how the public perceived him. Inside the labs at Menlo Park and West Orange, Edison acted as a showrunner. He managed a specialized production staff of mechanics, chemists, and draftsmen, moving the process of invention onto an assembly line. This image shows an early incandescent light bulb. Inside the glass, the filament is a piece of carbonized cotton thread. Finding that exact material required a grueling trial-and-error process, demanding thousands of failed experiments before finally finding a filament that burned steadily for hours. Yet solving the bulb was only a fraction of the problem. A working light is completely useless if you don't have electricity flowing into the house to turn it on. To make the bulb viable, Edison's team had to invent the threaded sockets to hold it, the insulated wiring to connect it, the meters to measure the usage, and the heavy power plants to generate the current. He built the entire commercial ecosystem necessary to turn a single consumer product into a recurring revenue stream. Financing a colossal electrical infrastructure required massive amounts of capital. To secure those investments, Edison turned himself into a walking brand, leveraging his early fame from the phonograph to keep his name in the press. To generate more capital and keep the public engaged, he leaped into visual spectacle. He constructed the Black Maria in New Jersey, the world's very first purpose-built motion picture studio. Inside, his team captured boxers, dancers, and famous celebrities of the day, using moving images to dazzle paying audiences. This is the interior of an early kinetoscope parlor. Edison distributed his short films to urban storefronts like this one, where customers paid a few cents to peer down into the wooden cabinets and watch the spectacles unfold. He understood earlier than almost anyone else that the survival of a new technology depended entirely on capturing and controlling the public's imagination. That control was severely tested when a serious threat to his direct current, or DC, empire emerged. It was a rival technology known as alternating current. This diagram demonstrates a physical limitation of Edison's grid. DC power could only transmit electricity roughly a 1-mile radius from the generator. The architect behind the AC motors that made Westinghouse's system so formidable was a brilliant former employee of Edison's named Nikola Tesla. Edison was losing the mathematical and technological battle. In response, he weaponized his media playbook to wage a dark, macabre public relations smear campaign against AC. Here we see an early wooden electric chair. As part of his campaign, Edison's team secretly helped the state of New York develop this device using AC power, aiming to permanently brand his rival's technology as the death current. The visionary system builder had devolved into a paranoid executive, perfectly willing to use terror and public spectacle to keep control of the technological narrative. The smear campaign failed. Westinghouse and Tesla secured the contract to illuminate the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, proving the safety and superiority of alternating current on a massive scale. The corporate consequences were immediate. Edison was ousted from control of his own electric company by his financial backers, including J.P. Morgan, who forced a merger to create General Electric. Stripped of his electrical empire, Edison executed a massive pivot. He sank a large portion of his personal fortune into a dirty, heavy industrial iron ore mining venture in New Jersey. The mining project became a catastrophic financial failure. Yet those who worked with him noted a strange paradox. Edison found immense happiness returning to the practical, gritty, hands-on work of the facility. He was driven by the chaotic, physical process of invention itself, far more than by the day-to-day management of the corporate empires he had spawned. Today, popular internet culture often reduces this history to a comic book rivalry, casting Tesla as a pure, exploited savior and Edison as a talentless, greedy villain. This binary narrative is easy to digest, but it obscures the brutal, cutthroat realities of the 19th century Industrial Revolution. Tesla possessed undeniable mathematical genius, but it was Edison who built the aggressive commercial and logistical architecture required to physically drag electricity out of the laboratory and into the homes of the masses. On the night of his funeral in 1931, at the request of the president, Americans across the nation switched off their lights in a unified tribute to the man who first turned them on. Edison's 1,093 patents served as the seeds for a much larger architecture, the modern structures of industrial research, corporate branding, and mass media. Today, we are still living inside the spectacle he directed.